Good afternoon and welcome back to the 120th. Today I'm going to see Negative Thinking. Negative Thinking is run by Tim and Emily, these guys. And it is a darkroom and a place where you can go for classes and workshops on various types of darkroom techniques. They're just down the road from me here in Bristol, and I've been meaning to go and see them for a little while, but now there is a time pressure. They are at risk of closing down. Their landlord has hiked up their rent unexpectedly and they're being forced to find new premises. They need to be out of their place in a couple of months. They have a crowdfunder going to try and help them out with the costs of moving and essentially building a new darkroom. They can cover their own rent, but as you'll find out in this video, their workshops and their darkroom prices are insanely low because their mission is to share knowledge with as many people as possible. As such, what they don't have is the cash available for a short notice darkroom rebuild. The link to their crowdfunder is at the top of the description below. I would urge you to click the link, head over there, give them £5, $5, buy a t-shirt, book in for a workshop, whatever you can do. You will understand why this is so important as you watch this video. Any money that I make from this video, I'll give straight to them, so please share it far and wide and we'll try and get YouTube to cover some of their costs. Okay, let's go learn about darkroom technique and darkroom mindset and more about Tim and Emily and their mission. Right, I'm down here at Negative Thinking in Bristol with the wonderful Tim.
Hiya.
And Tim is going to teach me how to do some black and white printing. I've done a little bit of black and white printing myself, but there's a lot of stuff I don't remember. And Tim, you've been running this place for how long?
Been running Negative Thinking for about 18 months, nearly 2 years now.
Okay, but you yourself have been working in darkrooms for a long time.
But me, myself, yeah, I've been working in darkrooms since I was about 17, so 22 years.
Okay, all right. So you got some idea of what you're doing?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Teach me, Tim. Teach me. Tim's going to be talking me through printing a black and white photo taken with my Bronica ETRS, so 6x45. And whilst my experience in the darkroom in my teens, 30-ish years ago, has stuck with me, there's a lot of basics that I'm not 100% sure of. What lens are you looking for? Because this is something that I do not know is what lens I'm supposed to be using. I mean, obviously, I think with any of these, sorry Tim, is that, you know, they say you have to know the rules to break the rules, but I don't know what the rules are. So what are you looking for?
So I'm looking for an enlarger lens which closely matches the focal length of the format we're using. So you're using 6x45. Yeah. So the standard for that is about 75 mil, 35mm, you use a 50mm lens. Okay. 6.6 is 80, 6.9 is 105, 4x5 150, and 10x8 is 300. You don't even need to use a lens to print with an enlarger. You know, you can print with using a pinhole. You know.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah. How do you focus? Oh, I suppose you don't need to focus it.
You don't need to focus.
Exactly the same as with a pinhole camera. Yeah.
It's very hard to see what you're doing.
Of course. Yeah, hard to frame. Yeah. So, but that's an interesting point. Manipulation of that process. I suppose in my mind I've been thinking about enlargers as this kind of fixed thing.
I mean, an enlarger is a tool, you know, just like a camera is a tool, and getting to know the capabilities of your tools as a creative, as a maker, is a really important step on your journey to kind of, don't want to say mastering, but kind of understanding best what the kind of medium is capable of. To zero the enlarger, essentially we change the contrast control to 2.5.
2.5, not 0.
Not 0. When we first make a test strip, we want to decide whether we want to go up or down. If we start at grade 0, we can only ever go up. If we start at grade 5, we can only ever go down. Let's go pop our negative into the negative carrier. Okay.
You have a quick look at that one and just tell me whether it's...
Yeah, it looks sharp.
Yeah, so we're going to print a shot of my kids. Tim is just popping that into the negative carrier there. I have actually selected a shot that I did get in focus. I'm pretty sure that one is in focus. So,
well, let's go test it out.
Yeah. Tim doesn't just do black and white printing. He also teaches courses on pretty much any darkroom technique you could think of. Wet plate collodion, lith printing, RA4 reversal, and loads that I've never heard of, like chromoscedasic sabatier, mordant sage. And on top of all that, this is also a simple community darkroom where anyone can pop in and use the enlargers and the darkroom space. Presumably people bring their own paper, yeah?
Yeah, people bring their own paper.
What else do they have to provide of their own? Do they chemicals or?
No, all chemicals are in. You just need to bring paper and negatives, really.
Yeah.
And if you want to print colour, we have colour chemistry, which you're welcome to use. Just bring your own colour paper, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
Do any alternative processes or anything like that. All you need to do is come on a workshop here, and then that kind of acts like an induction type thing to that particular process.
Yeah.
So then if you ever want to make any, salt prints or albumin prints or wet plate collodion photographs or anything, we've got everything here and you can come and use it.
Including like your silver bath or whatever?
Yeah.
You got one of those here?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
how about that?
Yeah. This is the whole point of this place, is to make these things accessible.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is here for you, if you want to use it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, so I actually could come down here and, I don't actually know what a salt print is, but I could in theory come down here and do a salt print. All I would need is essentially what I'm bringing to the table, so with the image and whatever else.
Yeah.
That's amazing though that you, and I guess, so obviously I pay, do I, as to come down here and use the darkroom?
Yeah.
How much does that cost?
£5 an hour.
Is that it?
That's it, yeah.
How can you be covering your costs? With all these chemicals, how do you make that work?
It's tricky, but it does just about work.
Just so your numbers add up, yeah?
Yeah.
One thing when I first started talking to Tim about this, it's like, well, the price of your workshop doesn't make sense. There's a reason why other people charge more. But the mission of this place and Tim's value system won't allow him to put up his prices. Yeah. It's like there's too much gatekeeping. It's really hard to get into. People just go, film photography, too expensive.
This world belongs to everybody, These processes are a shared cultural heritage, which everyone has the right to access. If we can facilitate that to people who wouldn't usually have that opportunity, then we've done something right.
And so the 50 quid workshops, I was like, what, even 60? He's like, no, it doesn't change. It doesn't change because that's what this is about.
So we're going to take our negative in our negative carrier, slot it into the head of the enlarger, like so. I'm just going to change the grade to 0.
So why have you done that?
Just for ease of focusing.
Okay. I might just jump around this side here if that's all right. So I'm getting a... Okay, so what just changed? What did you just do?
So I'm focusing the image.
You're moving the heads.
I'm moving the heads on that. So you have the control of the head, which controls the size of your projection, and then you have the control of the lens, which controls the focus.
Yeah.
So the higher your head is, the bigger the projection.
Yeah. It is handy having those on just two little twiddly knobs. With my Intrepid, I have to undo the super clamp and slide it up. I've got literally, I think you'd love my setup at home. It's so like full on Heath Robertson. It is like, yeah. So tell me about this. Now, this is obviously a focus finder.
Yes, this is called a grain magnifier.
Oh, a grain magnifier. Okay.
A little piece of paper here. We use this to help us focus.
So that's a bit of photographic paper.
Yes, it's quite important that you use the same paper.
Because the thickness of the paper is obviously going to have an effect, right?
Yes. People generally keep a sheet of this in the box of paper that they're using.
Just reuse.
Try and find a point of contrast. Like that.
So you are content that we are now focused?
I am content that we're focused. This image will be as sharp when we print it as it will ever be.
All right, don't say that. That's basically, I think Tim's basically saying it's out of focus. So this is it. He's saying this is as good as it gets.
So we're just going to change our contrast to grade 2.5 again. We'll start at about f11 on this lens. We'll do a test strip now. We're using this nice old Agfa multi-contrast. And before we start, what we'll do is just choose an area of the negative which exhibits all of the different tonal range of the image. We want a bit of the hair, we like some skin tone, probably all we need, so I'll just go straight through the middle. So we'll place that, do our first exposure, so we'll cover the majority of the paper.
And then, so you've then got this set to what, 5 seconds?
5 seconds, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that creativity could have a much bigger role in society and in, you know, keeping people on the straight and narrow, as it were, and the groups that are being excluded because of the cost? Do you feel like they're the people that need it the most? Is that kind of where you're going with it?
No.
Okay.
Everyone needs it, especially in times like this. Everyone struggles with different things. You might not be struggling financially, but you might be struggling emotionally. You know, creativity and the act of making and using your hands to will something into being is a hugely powerful act. Making photographs helped me, my mental health, you know. I'm autistic and it helps me speak to people without using words.
We just want to have a home for people to come and learn something and go and use it. And it might be using it as in 3 times a year you come to the darkroom and you have an afternoon that you can escape. Fine. Or it might be, you know, something else, but we're here to facilitate that.
So we'll turn the contrast up a touch.
And then duration?
Do an 11-second exposure. 11 at 11.
11 at 11, 11 seconds at f11. All right. What I loved about being in the darkroom with Tim is that he obviously has decades of experience behind him, but he's also using the same sort of mentality that I have in the darkroom, that of being content with trying something, seeing how it turns out, try something different. And until I had a chance to see someone else working like that, I thought I was being wasteful. I thought I should be getting things right quicker.
You go and have a look, and
Tim's experience allows him to get settings closer on the first pass, but other than that, we're sort of following the same process.
photography is a very accessible art form because it does not rely on kind of tacit skill that takes a lot of practice. You can get into the darkroom and you can try it out and you can achieve wonderful results within a few hours of learning the process.
Tim's whole ethos with negative thinking and why he created it, to share knowledge, because some of these processes are in danger of being lost.
For sure.
And the more people know about them, the safer those processes are.
Yeah.
And for people to come and go, okay, I've learned, more massage, and I'm going to go and do this with it. It doesn't have to be, oh, if you do that, you should do it like this. It's like, whatever you want to do with it, but now you know how it works. Go and make it your own, go and do this.
As long as you fixed it for 2 minutes,
Yeah.
it's safe to have a look at it outside. We will need to fix it for at least 6 minutes. For resin coated paper, that would be 4 minutes, and for fibre, it would be 6 minutes.
Right. And why the extended times for fibre papers?
Because the emulsion extends down into the fibre of the paper with fibre prints.
Okay, so it takes longer for it to
permeate,
basically.
So whereas resin paper, the image is kind of resting on top of the paper base.
Mm-hmm. I think I can be guilty of feeling like somebody's going to be looking at what I'm doing and saying you're doing it wrong.
No, I totally get that, and that's what drew me to photography when I was a kid, because it was something that I could do where they couldn't tell you it was wrong.
People will still tell you that you're wrong, though, right?
Oh, of course they will, but you don't have to listen to those people.
No, that's true. That is true, of course. All right, thoughts on that?
So it needs a little bit more exposure, I think. Contrast looks good though.
But I tell you what, though, I mean, you wouldn't be devastated to have that hanging on your wall, would you?
No, of course. I mean, it totally depends on the subject of your photographs as well.
Yeah, I think my 2 little blonde kids do lend themselves to overexposure. brighter images. They do though, you know. That's naturally the direction that these prints go, or that my images go.
So what I'd probably do, this we'd need to burn in a touch.
So burning being...
Adding exposure.
I.e. making the image darker or lighter?
Making the image darker, because remember we're working from a negative.
Yes.
So it's the opposite of what you... So this needs to come up a little further.
The hair and the shoulder?
This part.
Right, yeah. So it's essentially the bits where we're kind of burnt out, yeah? Have we got time to have a quick crack at those things?
Yeah.
Running out of time a little bit because I in fact need to go and pick up those 2 little cherubs from school. So, but do you know what? Actually, I mean, so much for me to take away from today. There's some kind of darkroom techniques and technical things that I take away from it, but a lot of, I guess, darkroom philosophy.
Thinking about how you make pictures is just as important as making them.
Yeah.
And the darkroom is, you know, it's such an important place for realising those images you've created. So
tell me about the funding thing. So you've obviously got this crowdfunder, but you're not asking for like the rent, are you? It's other. What's the funding for?
So the funding is essentially the move itself and the rebuild of the darkroom. Painting, building, electrics, plumbing, and also for that time where the darkroom will be closed for a minute. It could be up to a month that we're not running, depending on our timings of closing here and reopening. Hopefully, you know, perfect world, it'll be 2 weeks. Anything extra that we get will be put back into community projects. It's really difficult. It's difficult to have a small business. It's difficult to be self-employed. Difficult. And we just want to exist.
So I'll just run the exposure for 25 seconds and I'm just adding exposure.
Oh, so you're monitoring it there.
So I'm watching it above on the board.
Okay. I get it. But yeah, so you're not attempting to, of course there's no target to look at down there. Whoa. So, yeah, what do you think of that? You reckon you've done it?
Yeah, I reckon that'll look pretty good.
This is like a whole new world for me. The dodging and burning I've not got anywhere near yet. I'm too busy trying to get something to come out on a piece of paper.
I always say to people when they come on workshops, I made this place for you, because I never had anything like this where I was, and there's fewer and fewer places like this in the world, you know, where you can kind of come and you can hang out. There's no expectation of spending money, and there's no pressure to perform, you know. I just wanted to create a place where kind of creativity could be free. Yeah. And I hope that's what this continues to be for, you know, years to come.
So, what do we got?
So there we go.
Wow, that one's really starting to look great, isn't it?
I think if I was going to do this again, I'd probably just increase the contrast again by half a stop and then a bit more on the top of the head.
Yeah.
But you can see if you...
Yeah, the difference in just what you're seeing, just detail in the hair. Right then, Tim, thank you so much, mate. I've actually learnt a huge amount. I was just saying to Tim in there that there's some technical stuff that I've learnt, but a lot of kind of thought processes as much as the actual processes themselves. So there was a lot of stuff that, with the actual processes that I kind of knew, and I'd sort of figured out for myself. But what's been really, really useful is knowing that it's okay to mess it up. That's a huge, you know, and that's a big thing, you know, especially when I'm doing stuff in the darkroom, knowing that people are going to watch it and people are going to judge it. I worry about messing things up and doing things in ways that other people just know are wrong. But what you're telling me basically is that that's not really a thing. There is no wrong. No,
enjoy it.
Yeah?
That's what it's all about.
Right.
You know, get your hands dirty and have fun.
Yeah. Have fun and enjoy it, and don't be scared of screwing it up. Yeah. I think that's a good philosophy for life generally, isn't it? Yeah. Tim, thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. And this will inform my darkroom efforts going forwards. So I'm looking forward to getting out into my own darkroom at home now and screwing things up with your blessing, Tim.
Great.
Thanks, mate. Okay, so I actually took a lot from that session with Tim. There was a few little bits of information that I was kind of missing, and a little bit more I understand about how darkrooms work. But a lot of what I took away from that was about mindset. And it was great to see Tim, who's obviously been working in the darkroom for 22 years, essentially kind of feeling his way around when it came to making that print. And that's great. It's given me confidence that I can do that it's okay to do that. As for their crowdfunder, I hope you saw there what I see in negative thinking. We can't let these guys disappear. They're doing incredible service, not just by keeping the older darkroom techniques alive, but also bringing the kind of first stage darkroom techniques to more and more people and reintroducing it. I am definitely guilty of, in this digital age, having thought for a long time that I didn't need the darkroom. And that I would take photos on film, scan them, digitize them, and then share them digitally with the world. But I do realise now that I am skipping a really important part of the photography process. It's essentially, I'm kind of seeing it the same as if you go out with a digital camera, sharing direct from the camera without them ever touching Lightroom or Photoshop, and not doing that kind of editing and general tidy up and fixing, or doing any editing to kind of make your photos the best they can be. And that's what I've been doing with a lot of my analog photography recently. Take photos, scan negatives, maybe remove some of the dust, and then share. And I do realise now that I've missed a huge step. And I am now excited and enthusiastic about making more of my darkroom here at home. So a couple of messages from this. Number one, go check out that crowdfunder, give them a $5, buy a t-shirt, whatever you can do. Number two is just generally support your community darkroom. So if you are lucky enough to have a community darkroom nearby, go introduce yourself. Get involved and try out taking your photos into the darkroom, doing some printing, doing some kind of, manipulation is the wrong word, but further work on your photos. If you're not currently subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. I've got loads of really exciting stuff coming up. Not least, I'm going to see Guy Bellingham, who is a wet plate collodion photographer, to learn more about wet plate collodion, how that all works, what it looks like. Guy actually learned how to do wet plate collodion from Tim. That's how I got in touch with Tim in the first place. So do come along for that video. I think Guy's a great example of exactly why we need people like Tim and Emily in this world, and why we mustn't let them disappear. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.